we're going to dive into in a little while here. First, let's cover what's going on right now. We have temperatures that are in the 60s. It's very warm outside, but also it's very gusty too. We actually have a wind advisory that's remaining in effect until 6 p.m. for all locations that you see here highlighted in teal. That is mainly near and north of I-88 out there this afternoon, but all of Northeast Illinois under a fire weather warning. So outdoor burning strongly discouraged just because of the high winds, the low relative humidity. So that's today's concern. Tomorrow, we actually have the potential of severe thunderstorms to talk about. I'll have the timing coming up.
Governor Pritzker just dropped his new budget. This one's $56 billion. Not much new spending here. There's a new tax for social media companies.
He also wants to pause tax breaks for data centers. Brett is in the studio to walk us through what that means. Brett.
There's always a theme with these State of the State addresses, and the big one today, which is going to be another one throughout the entire country, is affordability. So this was all about trying to address rising demand to the electric grid, and as well as we continue to hear from you, the viewer at home, which is your energy bills that keep going up with no end in sight. So Governor Pritzker said PJM, which is one of our regional grid operators, has to force companies that build data centers to pay for their own capacity resources. That way you at home won't be stuck with those high bills. So the governor said both PJM and MISO, which is the other grid operator, have agreed to speed up construction on bringing renewable energy projects online. And he also talked about another energy solution, which is about adding more to the supply and lowering your bills. And this comes after the governor signed the Clean and Reliable Grid Affordability Act back in January.
That opened up the possibility and the door for construction of new modern reactors that can help us keep our clean energy leadership and create new jobs. The economic opportunity of building new clean power is enormous. So today I've issued an executive order designed to speed up building new clean nuclear power so that we can increase our electricity supply and secure our energy future.
So still working to find out what this all means for you at home, but we heard from some Republicans like Ted Dabrowski and Darren Bailey who are running for governor. They criticized Pritzker on his push for clean energy. Dabrowski implied it wasn't realistic, and Bailey criticized Pritzker on pausing tax credits on data centers, saying it was the wrong time since other states are competing for all those jobs. Terrence.
All right, Brett, a lot of talk about how presidential he looked and sounded. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on. Hemp still on shelves here in Chicago. Council tried to ban most of it, but they didn't have the votes to override the mayor.
So there were only 26 votes to override the veto, well short of the 2/3 majority or 34 votes that are required. In January, the council approved a hemp ban that would have limited sales of most intoxicating products, with an exception for THC drinks. But last week, Mayor Johnson vetoed the ordinance, saying he wanted to protect small businesses that have profited from the hemp industry.
In multiple hearings that we've had in this council, where we talked about the actual regulation, the city can't do it. They can't properly regulate. They can't test any of it. There is a concern for any of the edible products that are the ones that get you high. It would also not create a black market. Cannabis exists. People would actually go get cannabis rather than the workaround because the state didn't do their job in actually having enough licenses to go around.
We're trying to protect children. This particular ordinance was passed to protect children who are being fed and misled with packaging and fanfare that this is candy.
There is still a chance that a federal and even a state ban might result in a fight, and that this could be far from over.
Okay, plans to strengthen Chicago sanctuary city policy are on pause. The vote was blocked in council today. It would have given COPA authority to investigate whether Chicago police or city officials have helped federal immigration agents.
The Trump administration has reportedly ordered FEMA to suspend disaster deployments. The agency is a branch under the Department of Homeland Security, which is currently shut down. The White House press secretary blaming the funding fight on Democrats who are demanding ICE reforms.
Last night, they sent over a counter proposal that frankly was very unserious, and we hope they get serious very soon.
Our view is that ICE agents should be conducting themselves like every other law enforcement agency in the country. Police officers don't wear masks, county sheriffs don't wear masks, and state troopers don't wear masks. And we haven't been provided a shred of justification from this administration as to why ICE agents are conducting themselves differently.
While the House and Senate are in recess, Democrats are gearing up to face off with President Trump ahead of his State of the Union address to Congress next week. And just a day after saying their goodbyes, Reverend Jesse Jackson's family gathered in the South Shore.
It talks about their dad, what he stood for, what he fought for, and what he meant to the world.
Soul is freed to be with our mighty ancestors. Yes. His remains left to be honored and remembered.
Reverend Jesse Jackson died at home Tuesday with his children by his side. Wednesday, Santita, Jonathan, Jesse, Yusuf, and Ashley stood together, showing what it means to lose someone so public, so personal.
We started in the food line here in Chicago, and the church,
Yes.
the church was there. And so when he leaves out on the slogan of, I am somebody, that's a call for your own self-dignity.
Jackson got his start early, 17, fighting for a library card. He won, kept pushing civil rights, voting rights, schools, health care. His biggest mentor stepped in when he chose faith over law school.
There is no one who's been more faithful to the mission of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King than Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr.
His message passed from one generation to the next. The call for dignity, equality, and action didn't stop with him. It became the work of his children.
We are urgently called to continue discourse and to remain in conversation because our proximity is what's going to keep us moving forward in this time. He's always been proximal to all of you, proximal to all of us, and that's the work that our generation is required to do moving forward.
The family thanked everyone for the tributes from neighbors, President Trump, former Presidents Biden and Obama, but they are asking for something simple.
Do not bring your politics out of respect to Reverend Jesse Jackson and the life that he lived to these homegoing services. Come respectful and come to say thank you.
The family hasn't shared homegoing service plans yet. When they do, we will let you know on Fox32Chicago.com.
Hermine Hartman wasn't a blood relative of Jesse Jackson, but became part of his supporting family. She started working with Jackson after school in Chicago when he headed Operation Breadbasket. She later worked alongside him at Rainbow Push and supported him throughout both of his presidential campaigns. Hartman remembers when Jackson surprised everyone and told them he was running for president. He finished third in the Democratic nomination race in 1984, but '88 was a different story. He emerged as the runner-up, leading a grassroots campaign with limited funding that nevertheless made a significant impact.
'88 was magnificent, and it just blew. It just went. It was very successful. Points made. It was just wonderful. Had we lived in today, if '88 could have been 2026, I think Reverend would have won, because with social media, we would have had another control factor, another communication factor, and Jesse would be so right for social media until I think it could have been influential. He made a lot of strides. As you know, he changed the political landscape of America.
Hartman herself, a distinguished and well-known Chicagoan and the founder of Indigo Studio, they will be releasing a show on a new documentary that is being done on Jesse Jackson in March, and you can find that on the Indigo Studio YouTube channel.
All right, a lot of cars out there, dingy, dirty, and dusty, and social media is talking about it.
And car washes across the area are busy as a result, and we've got an answer as to why it's called Dirty Rain.
And what does the governor's budget actually change for your family? The specific impacts next.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg defending his company in front of a jury for the first time on the dangers of social media. I'm Kelly Saberi in Los Angeles with more on that story coming up.
Mark Zuckerberg was just in court out in L.A. having to answer for his company. The jury is hearing all about the risk with social media.
Kelly Saberi lays out what happened today.
Meta chief Mark Zuckerberg in court in Los Angeles Wednesday, testifying in a landmark trial on the impacts of social media on children. The plaintiff is a 20-year-old woman identified as KGM, who says her early adoption of social media led to depression and suicidal thoughts, and accuses companies of deliberately designing their platforms to get people addicted.
Well, if they prevail, this means a lot of future payouts by social media and, well, quite a bit of liability for Mark Zuckerberg.
Today is the first time Zuckerberg has ever had to defend his company in front of a jury. Plaintiff's attorney Mark Lanier questioned him on Meta's strategy, pointing to a 2014 email where Zuckerberg said the amount of time users spent on his platforms was among his biggest concerns. The Meta CEO says they've since shifted their priority to improving the user experience.
I really do think Meta has been, frankly, the leader in trying to address these issues. Now it's going to be left up to a California jury.
Zuckerberg was part of a group of CEOs 2 years ago who testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee on the potential dangers of social media, at one point turning around and apologizing to parents whose children had been harmed.
I'm sorry for everything that you've terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered.
The plaintiff's attorney tried to question Zuckerberg about that apology, but the defense objected. Meta and YouTube are the two remaining defendants in the case, as TikTok and Snap reached settlements last month. The outcome could determine how thousands of other lawsuits play out. In Los Angeles, Kelly Saberi, Fox Chicago.
Well, we've talked about the governor's address and his new budget plan already.
Yeah, but let's bring in political analyst Tom Serafin to get his take on what it all means for Illinois. Tom, always good to see you. I guess let's just start here. What was your honest reaction to the State of the State address?
Well, I thought if you just were grading the governor on his performance, I thought he did. I wrote some notes down on delivery and rhetoric. He got a B+, maybe an A-. He did a beautiful job of delivery. I think he's really grown in office and matured on the public stage. He's certainly ready for prime time. And on policy and substance, you know, it was a little bit light there, a B-. I mean, he talked about affordability being the centerpiece of what we need to do as we move forward, which is the national theme. Maybe there's a national play here. Also, federal funding, is vital, but $8 billion or more is being held up by who? Donald Trump and the federal government. It's Illinois money, according to the governor, but it's not getting here. So it's going to make it tight for all of us. New revenue ideas, a social media platform fee, housing as a marquee issue. You know, he's going to try to get affordable housing to start growing again in the state of Illinois. But it was all about, I think, his national positioning. I think on the national piece of it, he had a B+. I mean, even Rachel Maddow said today it was inspirational. So I think the big play is what he's going to do in 28. He's got to win 26, obviously, to jettison himself into 28. The frontline candidates for the Democratic primary nomination for president in 28 right now are Governor Newsom out of California and Vice President Kamala Harris, who ran last time. They're in their 30s. Everybody else is under 10%. They call that second tier. So when they talk about second tier candidates, Governor Pritzker is in the middle there, around 6-7%. I think based on his largesse and his ability to put money on the table, I think he's probably one of the top 2 or 3 candidates to emerge in 28. I think Rahm Emanuel might be in that bunch as well. But Governor Pritzker showed today that he's going to be a big-time player in the presidential sweepstakes, especially if Illinois moves their primary to the top of the ticket.
Okay, you said B+, so wow. But let's talk about this because, you know, we can jump ahead to his possibility of in the presidential race. But let's talk about what came out today. You know, a lot of people want to know, he's saying it's going to be a maintenance budget. But how does this improve our lives, or how does this affect our lives detrimentally? What's going on behind all of the speeches that are taking place?
Well, the irony of all ironies is that if the national budget moves in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, as many prognosticators and even some people on Wall Street are currently talking about, because of the investments that the Trump administration has made in the first year and a half of and the tariffs and everything that they've done with the Fed, if that moves, and there's some site now that there is movement there, if that moves, that helps Governor Pritzker, because this is a maintenance budget, as you say. There's nothing there that's going to up, and there's nothing there going to go down. They just have to pay the bills. And he talked about paying the bills. If he can pay the bills in an election year, it's going to be terrific. Governor Dan Walker was elected by beating Governor, Ogilvie, who started the income tax back in the early 70s. Actually, Dan Walker beat Paul Simon in that race. And he went on to spend 4 years. So nobody in an election year raises taxes. Nobody passes taxes out of Springfield. Nobody does anything controversial. The most controversial thing this year might be the very fact that the Bears get some kind of funding out of Springfield. Mm-hmm. So the governor is sitting pat. He's not doing too much. He's going to be out there on the public stage. And he mentioned Donald Trump in this speech today 9 or 8 times. That's a lot of times to mention him in a budget speech. So he's running against Donald Trump this year. He's running for, governor, and then he's going to be moving to the national stage. It's all about platform positioning. So from my point of view and your point of view and the average homeowner in town, they're just going to be trying to sit tight. We have, the property taxes have gone so far up. The election in March is going to be a real telling tale on who's going to take the heat on that from the voters' point of view. He never mentioned that. He never mentioned the South Side. He never mentioned the North Side. He never mentioned what was happening on the West Side. He didn't get into the crime issues. Let's not get into anything controversial. Let's be, kind of quiet and talk about affordability, which is the national centerpiece on the messaging side. So from our point of view, if nothing happens to us out of Springfield, that's actually a positive. But it looks like the governor may be able to benefit from the national economy as it begins to pick up steam.
Tom, he did talk about something that's in the national headlines right now. We just saw Mark Zuckerberg in court today. Social media really on trial for being addictive and how addictive it is for young people. What's your take on the new social media tax? Will it actually help the state, or is that just political theater?
No, I think that's going to help. The problem is you've got to get the legislature and everybody to get in there and act on it and move on it. And then you're going to have the people from the other side. The social media platform, I think, is incredibly important. The irony there is that he talked about how the social media people and new media come in and whittle you away with this fee and that fee and this fee and that fee. And the exact quote in his speech is really remarkable, because it sounds like what happened in the last legislative session when they attached a half a dozen new taxes here, taxes there, little ones here, little fees for this, little fees for that. So he was complaining about the very act of what the legislature did last year, this year putting on the social media platform. But I think that was a good one. Getting the phones out of schools are another great move on his part. But the key is the legislature has to go along with him and help him. The Democrats really liked the speech. The speaker said the same thing. The president said the same thing. On the Republican side, the Republican complained about it was inflationary, and it was the typical rhetoric on that piece. But if you're taking a look at this, a year from now and looking back, the really nice thing for the governor here is he really did a wonderful national job of positioning himself. Can he keep the lid on our problems? Can he keep the lid on the cost of living and the affordability issues in Illinois? Can he continue to pay down on pension costs? That's all to be seen here in the next year. But he did a nice job for himself today.
Okay, well, Tom Seraphin, you did a nice job for us. Nice to be back into the political season, because that means we'll get to see you more often, right? You take care, Tom. Always a pleasure.
God bless. Have a good day.
Take it easy. All right, if you've been on social media at all today, all you've seen is people taking selfies outside in the nice weather.
I missed it. What did I miss?
Oh, you got time. You can go outside. Go run out real quick. Get you some vitamin D out there.
Yeah, it was a stunning day. Yes, it's very windy. We can't gloss over that. We have west-southwesterly winds that have been gusting over 45 miles per hour at times. And we actually do have that wind advisory for locations near and north of I-88 lasting until 6 p.m. But temperatures are so nice. A lot of us are sitting in the 60s. We're at 58 degrees in Woodstock, 59 in Waukegan, so slightly cooler there. Futurecast taking us throughout the rest of this evening here. Notice notice by 9 p.m. or so, we're in the upper 40s to near 50 degrees. And then through the night, we're only dropping down into the upper 30s to low 40s. Tomorrow morning, we're going to start to see increasing cloud cover. And then our chance for showers, couple thunderstorms is going to arrive going into the afternoon. And there's actually a chance, there's a low end risk of some strong to severe thunderstorms to develop late tomorrow afternoon into the early evening hours. So that's what we're going to be tracking very closely. The Storm Prediction Center does have areas that you see here highlighted in green, which is the majority of the Chicagoland area, in a marginal risk. That's a level 1 of 5, but it does jump to a slight risk for the far southern extent of Newton and Jasper counties. That is a level 2 of 5. So isolated strong to severe thunderstorms could be possible. And if everything comes together just right, we could be dealing with damaging wind gusts, hail, and maybe even an isolated tornado. So make sure you have ways of getting those severe weather alerts for tomorrow, even though that is a low-end risk. Your 5-day forecast tomorrow, 56. We'll have that chance of showers and storms, especially late day into the evening. On Friday, a chance of rain, maybe even mixing in with snow. Falling temperatures through the day. We're in the 30s by the afternoon. We're going to spend our weekend with lows in the 20s and highs in the 30s. So it's back to reality on Saturday and Sunday.
Back to
you.
Life, back to reality. Thanks, Emily.
go.
All right, how did Jeffrey Epstein get rich?
The CEO accused of working with him testifying today on Capitol Hill.
Also, measles case confirmed in Illinois. Which community is on alert?
Hard as you do.
Illinois just got its first measles case of the year. It's an adult from the Metro East area, that is over by St. Louis. They just got back from a trip out of state. It is the first one here this year, but health officials say measles has been popping up more around the country. Now, last year, Illinois had 14 cases in all. The FDA changed its mind and is reviewing Moderna's new mRNA flu shot. First they said no, but now they're giving it another look.
And they talked with the company and then made that switch. Moderna split the application by age and wants a quicker okay for people 65 and older. They also agreed to do another study with that group once the shot is finally out. The FDA gave them until August to decide if they will approve it or not.
Stocks closed up with people jumping back into tech, and now that AI worries have cooled off, but they did not hold on to all the early gains. The Fed also shared notes from their last meeting, and they are still split. Some Fed folks say they might raise rates if inflation keeps pushing up. By the way, Walmart is dropping earnings this week. We're also getting an update on pending home sales, plus new unemployment claim numbers are on the way too.
Members of the House Oversight Committee are in Ohio questioning the founder of Victoria's Secret in the Epstein investigation. Epstein handled the finances of the 88-year-old billionaire Les Wexner, who was never charged but was named a co-conspirator, that is, in a recently unveiled document. In his opening statement to the committee, Wexner said he was not a participant or co-conspirator to Epstein's crimes. He also stated, quote, "I was naive, foolish, and gullible to put any trust in Jeffrey Epstein. He was a con man, and while I was conned, I have done nothing wrong and have nothing to hide."
The real reason Jeffrey Epstein was able to get away with raping and abusing children, young women, boys, young men for so many years was because of the vast amounts of money that he was able to acquire, and that largely came from Les Wexner.
Bill Clinton is also in the files. He and Hillary Clinton are set to be deposed separately by the full House Oversight Committee next week.
The power of sound, unity, and history all colliding on one stage.
The nation's largest middle and high school step show is happening this weekend, and we have a preview.
Plus, what's all that grime on your car? Ash trapped in rain blanketed the area overnight, and we'll explain.
If you want total health care from a provider you trust,
hi, Blair. Hi.
Right in the palm of your hand, if you want soup, sweatpants, and zero in-person contact, if you want wellness wherever, our virtual primary care delivers with great website manner.
No worries.
So choose your doctor from our profiles and enjoy the healthiest online relationship you've ever had. House calls have evolved. Advocate Healthcare.
electric and generators.
Welcome back. 4:33, Pope Leo XIV oversees an Ash Wednesday ceremony in Rome. That was the pontiff's first Ash Wednesday Mass. He reflected on repentance, community, and death.
And today, some faith leaders got to go inside the Broadview ICE Detention Center for the first time in a while.
Leslie Moreno is there. Leslie, can you fill us in on what's going on right now?
Hey guys, good evening. Yeah, those three faith leaders walked into the detention facility here in Broadview about an hour ago to offer ashes and communion to those who are detained here at the Broadview facility. We captured it all on camera here. You can see they first gathered outside the facility where they sang and prayed before walking into the facility. They were accompanied by two police officers. The Department of Homeland Security granted access after a federal judge ordered the agency to allow religious visits inside the facility. The Coalition for Spiritual and Public Leadership says they're grateful for the access and hopes it will lead to continued pastoral care for people being held there. Faith leaders say the service is meant to highlight what they call a moral crisis inside detention centers and to show solidarity with immigrant communities. For Catholics, Ash Wednesday marks the beginning of Lent, a sacred season of prayer and reflection. And we do understand that there is a press conference scheduled for this evening. We will be hearing from those three church leaders who walked into that facility about an hour ago. We're told they should be walking out here any minute. We'll have that update for you coming up tonight at 5.
All right. Thanks for that, Leslie. Well, after last night's rain, drivers across the area found their cars were covered in dust.
So what's really in that grit? Casey Cronus is live with the answers. Hey, Casey.
Hi, Terrence and Sylvia. We'll break that down in just a moment. But first, the cleanup. Long lines formed at car washes across the city and suburbs today. Beautiful weather typically drives traffic, but today it was all that dust.
I seen it rained a little bit earlier, and then when I got up today, I was surprised to see all this dust on it. I don't even know what this dust is. I really thought it'd just be wet or something, but it looks like mud.
A lot of customers complain about, that kind of dirt in top of the car. So I think so happened after the rain last night, right? Yeah, that's the bigger complaint everybody say today, because we are regular customer over here. They come so often, but right now everybody complain about the specific that.
Here at Bert's Car Wash near Ogden and Grand, a steady line down the block kept employees busy and still is. The soot that blanketed cars overnight came after a perfect storm. Wildfires across the plains mixed with high southeasterly winds picked up dust and debris. Then last night's rain trapped those particles and sent them back down to the ground, or in this case, on our cars. Clinical Assistant Professor Matthew Rowling from Northwestern Kellogg explains.
It's almost as if you were washing soot off of a chimney. The rain just pulls all of that soot out of the air, and it comes right down in people's cars, and then they have to go to the car wash. The soot that's coming down in the rain on your car isn't going to hurt anything, but when you're inhaling particulate matter from something like a wildfire, like the ones we had, the smoke coming down from Canada a few years back, that is actually very harmful for human health.
Now, right now, the air quality in Chicago is being measured as good, but you may remember last year and in the last few years that wildfire smoke from Canada did make it difficult to breathe, even here in the city. Live in Westtown, Casey Cronus, Fox Chicago.
All right, Casey, thank you. There I was judging people for having dirty cars today, and
I know.
There was a reason for it.
Yeah, we should not be judging anybody because, if you were parked outdoors yesterday and last night, we had those showers come through, but all of that was coming from the plains, as you were just hearing from Casey.
Right.
There's actually hundreds of thousands of acres that have burned from wildfires just in Oklahoma alone. Of course, it was very windy as well, so that system was coming up from the south and the west, and it was lofted up into the atmosphere, and then our raindrops kind of formed on those little tiny dust and ash particles. rain down.
Nature is just wild.
Yeah.
Right?
That's wild. How many miles we're talking about? A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah, that's right. Well, and speaking of wind, I'm sure you noticed today, it's been very windy. So we actually have a wind advisory that's remaining in effect near and north of I-88 until 6 p.m. That's for west-southwesterly winds gusting as high as about 45 to 50 miles per hour. And then on top of that, we have a fire weather warning that's remaining in effect for all of northeastern Illinois until 8 p.m. just because of the risk of wildfires spreading. So we have those really gusty winds and a very dry air mass in place. So relative humidity right now across northeastern Illinois as low as 15 to 25%. Tonight, 40 degrees. We'll have southwesterly winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. 3-day forecast tomorrow, 56. A chance of showers and storms, some of which may be strong, possibly even severe late afternoon into the evening. After that storm system, it's going to get much colder going into the weekend. Back to you.
All right. Hey, just so you know, Brown Line trains heading to Kimball are skipping the Western stop for now because of construction in Lincoln Square. If you need to get off Western at Western, just ride to Rockwell, then catch a train going back the other way. They say this will last through the weekend, but if they finish the stair repair, that's fun to say, early, trains might stop at Western again soon. You can check our website for updates on when the Western stop is back open.
So many closures, so many closures. Okay, get ready for the biggest non-Greek middle school and high school step show in the country.
One step, one sound, and it's happening in the south suburbs. We'll be joined by the young men who organized this event after the break.
And tune in tonight at 6 p.m. for another debate. Current Cook County Assessor Fritz Kagan and his challenger Pat Hines, and it should be a good one.
Will it be as heated as last night?
That was something, wasn't it?
Yeah. Every step, every clap, every chant, these kids are bringing Black history to life. This weekend, there's a big step show for middle and high schoolers. It's the biggest one in the country.
Now, you could watch this forever, couldn't you? This is Dr. Corey Levy. He is the Director of Operations at Southland College Prep and the Director of the Kappa League in Richmond Park. And he is joined with some of his Step Club team members. Let's get an introduction before we get going.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you? Tell us who you're with.
Well, like you said, I am Dr. Corey Levy, and I have 3 of my captains here with me who are going to go ahead and introduce themselves.
I'm Jaden Irvs. I'm a senior, and yes, I am one of the captains and presidents of Kappa League.
I'm Gavin White. I'm also a senior, and I'm also one of the captains of Kappa League.
My name is Ricky Larkin. I am also one of the presidents of the Evergreen Park Alumni Chapter of Kappa League, and I'm a senior.
Okay, this is fun stuff,
nice to
right?
meet you all.
Yes, this is fun stuff. Okay, let's get a little history, first of all, about what STEP is all about and its origin, and then we want to talk to these guys as well. But go for it. Explain.
So I'll start off. So I think the origin of STEP, I think everybody has their notions, their thoughts on where it came from, just like we do. So everybody thinks that, okay, that it could have started back way back when. I'm just going to go with slavery, when they couldn't have any, where they weren't able to speak. So they would use like the different stumps, hand claps to signal one of each other's. And now in today's society, you have the Divine Nine, the Black Greek organizations that does it through just their movements, hand claps, and stumps. So the origin of it, I think, like I said, everybody has their different aspect of where it came from, but I don't know if anyone knows 100% exactly where that originated.
Yeah, one of the captains, you can tackle this one, fellas. What does it mean for you to learn the art of stepping? Do you feel your ancestors coming through you?
Well, to learn the art of stepping is actually very difficult, but it's a very fun experience to be working with a team to do steps in unison with each other. And it's very fun and exciting, but it's also very deeply rooted in history, and it's something that's great to experience.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that Terrence asked you about that connection, because I know you're having a good time. You're talking about it being deeply rooted in history. How difficult is this to do? Because, you know, it seems so precise. How many hours does it take for you guys to get this down?
I would say it would take us more than a couple hours. I think it takes us a couple days, depending on the person. If you've been stepping for a decent minute for a couple years and learning new steps, it's going to come natural. But for those people that are newer to stepping and never stepped before, it's going to take them a couple of days, maybe even a week. But I do think it's a challenge for everyone. It's not easy for anyone. It was also hard for me. It was hard for them. So, yeah.
There's got to be a fulfilling vibe when you all get the steps together and you're in unison finally. As captains, what are you responsible for?
In terms of being a captain, not only are we responsible for our team, but we're also responsible for keeping and maintaining a certain picture or image of Kappa League, because as Kappa Leaguers, we are also under the esteemed men of Kappa Alpha Psi. So we're not only representing ourselves, we're not only representing our brothers of Kappa League, we're also representing those guys like Advisor Corey Levy, who have gave us the opportunity to express ourselves through the art of step.
Yeah, Dr. Levy, let's talk about that. What this, as somebody who's the advisor and director, and you're leading these young men, what do they get out of this, or at least what do you hope they're getting out of this?
So I'll be honest. So when I first became one of the directors of Kappa League was about 20 years ago, we would just meet. We'll sit the young man down. We would teach them something, how to tie ties, how to be respectful, and among other things. But it became, for lack of a better word, it became boring. So we had to try to find something to really keep their attention, and that's where stepping came into play. I mean, like I said, it holds the young men extremely accountable. It gives them the discipline that they need, and I think that makes them an all-around great person. I mean, the bigger thing is it also teaches them altruism and brotherhood as well. So I would think not just for any community, if any school organization can have something like this, like I said, it is a great way for these young men to learn the discipline and accountability for one another.
Yeah, that brotherhood is very important, learning to celebrate each other's differences and similarities as well. Dr. Levy, 3 captains, thanks so much for joining us. This is the 4th year Southland's hosting this event, and 15 teams from all over are coming to compete. We'll have more information about the event on our website. Nice meeting you all.
Good luck.
Best of luck.
Yes. Are you going to win?
Thank you.
Are you going to win this thing? You taking it home?
Yes, we're going to do an exhibition. So we're hosting, so we're only doing an exhibition. So it'll be a fantastic event, though, to come out to see.
And if you need a backup, I can pass for like at least 17, I think.
Back row.
We're going to hold you to it.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great time. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Okay, still to come, honoring blues legend Buddy Guy, his challenge to the Chicago City Council.
Ready or not, our fake spring is coming to an end. Emily has details on a serious drop in temps after the break.
But first, here's a look at your trip home.
Okay, now why'd you laugh so hard when I said 17? Wait, what?
I was thinking 18.
Girl,
you're pushing it.
Girl, come on back, y'all. We got to talk.
Chicago.
Okay. Welcome back as we take a live look outside. Look how pretty this is. Emily's been telling me how much I miss not getting outside today. You said you walked around in shorts?
I was in shorts. I had shorts and a sweatshirt on, but it was lovely this morning.
Nice, even with the strong wind.
Even with the wind, but if you were in the sunshine, so I definitely followed the sun. I went to the sunny side of the street every block that I was on, but Gorgeous today. Yes, we had temps in the 60s for a lot of us, but as we know, it's been very, very gusty. We had those west-southwesterly winds gusting as high as about 45 to 50 miles per hour. So we do have that wind advisory remaining in effect for about another hour until 6 p.m. for all locations that you see here highlighted in this teal shading near and north of I-88. Again, that is a wind advisory. And because of the high winds, in combination with the very dry air mass that we have in place, we have relative humidity out there today that's as low as 15 to 25%. So we actually have a fire weather warning that's remaining in effect until 8 p.m. for all locations that you can see here across northeastern Illinois. So any outdoor burning is strongly, strongly discouraged today. Now that's all about today. Tomorrow, we're turning our attention to the potential of strong to severe thunderstorms. It's a low end risk, but it's still something that we're going to have to pay attention to. So from the Storm Prediction Center, most of the region, especially near and south of I-88 or so, that's where we have a marginal risk. That's a level 1 of 5 on their 1 to 5 scale here. So it's a low end risk, but once you get into southern Newton, southern Jasper counties, this is jumping up to a slight risk, meaning scattered severe thunderstorms could be possible. So the risk is definitely higher the farther south that you go, but we're going to be on the lookout for really all hazards being possible. But everything's going to have to come together just perfectly for any of the thunderstorms tomorrow to actually become severe. So again, low end risk, but just make sure you're prepared. Damaging winds, hail, and maybe even an isolated tornado could be possible late afternoon into the evening hours. Your high temperatures today, we tapped out in the 60s, made it to 63 at O'Hare, 64 in Valparaiso, 65 in Merrillville, 66 in Joliet, and 63 degrees in Aurora. Satellite and radar, things are quiet for now. Notice we do have the storm system off to our north and our west. And watch what happens here over the next 24 hours or so. So tonight and tomorrow morning, things are still fairly quiet. Your morning commute on Thursday looks just fine. We're seeing increasing cloud cover. But then through the morning hours, we're going to continue to cloud things over, and then showers, couple thunderstorms are going to be possible by late afternoon. That's going to last into the evening hours. But then this storm system is very quickly going to move out of here. So I think by about 8 p.m. or so, that severe weather risk is likely going to be out of here. And then by Friday, we're cooling things down in a really big way. We're going to be cold enough that we could have kind of a rain-snow mixture being possible at times on Friday, mainly in the morning. And then I think as we go into the afternoon, we're going to start to see some of those clouds clearing out of the region. But temperatures, they're technically going to be in the 40s for your highs on Friday. That's going to be set in the early morning hours. And then we're going to be dropping into the 30s. For tonight, 40 degrees, very mild conditions for this time of the year. Your 7-day forecast tomorrow, 56, 46 degrees for your high on Friday, a chance of rain and snow, and then we drop to the 30s going into the upcoming weekend. We'll be right back.
this message.
Welcome back. The Chicago City Council recognized Black History Month by honoring a living legend, Chicago blues pioneer Buddy Guy. Born George Guy, a native of Louisiana, as a child, Guy would pick cotton, not knowing that he changed the world once he picked up a guitar. He began performing in the mid-1950s and moved to Chicago in '57, playing with other legends like Muddy Waters. While council members gave him his flowers today, he called on the alders to put their words into action and cement history.
When I look at Nashville, Texas, New Orleans, with those great musicians, I don't see a picture of neither one that made Chicago what it is today. But I'd like to see statues or something to let the world know that Chicago is the world capital of the blues.
Fresh off his 9th Grammy win, yes, 9, Buddy Guy will celebrate his 90th birthday by going on a tour across North America, and you can catch him right here at the Chicago Theater on July 25th.